Last year, Naomi Osaka and Jennifer Brady's US Open semifinal was hailed as an instant classic, making nearly everyone's top matches of 2020 list. 5 months later, these two meet at an even bigger stage, the Australian Open final. Will Osaka continue her dominance at the hardcourt majors, or will Brady prove the majority wrong and snag her maiden Grand Slam? I'll give my preview and pick of who I feel will raise the Daphne Ackhurst Trophy here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today. Naomi leads the head-to-head between these two women 2-1, Brady's lone win coming nearly 7 years ago when Naomi was just 16 years of age. Osaka has the advantage in every field, being ranked 21 spots higher than the American, claiming 5 more titles, 3 of her 6 being slams, having a better win-loss record at the Australian Open, and finally, spending about 50 minutes less on court. To reach her first slam final, Jen first dominated Alona Bosova, Madison Brangle, and Kaya Juvan, only dropping 11 games in those 3 matches combined. In the round of 16, she played her first seed 28th Vekic, winning 6-1-7-5. In the quarter, she squared off against good friend Jessica Pegula, overcoming the first set deficit to win 4-6, 6-2, 6-1. Then in the semis, she beat Karolina Muchova 6-4, 3-6, 6-4. Osaka also beat her first 3 opponents relatively handily, taking out Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova, Caroline Garcia, and Anstra Burr in straights. In the 4th round versus Muguruza, Osaka had her toughest match of the tournament, saving 2 match points to advance to the last 8. There she played Su Shea, dominating her 2-2. In the semifinals, she played her best match of the tournament, dominating Serena Williams 3-4. Looking back at their US Open clash, it was first strike tennis at its finest, as both women dominated on serve, backing it up with thunderous ground strokes and titillating exchanges. It came down to a matter of who was the more clutch, and of course it was the more experienced Osaka, grabbing that lone break in the 3rd set to eventually get the job done. A lot of that match depended on serve. First, looking at the first serve points won percentage, Naomi's was almost above 80% in the 2 sets she won, the 1st and 3rd. However, in the set that she lost, the 2nd, she only managed to win 66%. The same can be said for Brady, who had her highest first serve points won percentage in the 2nd set, which she claimed 6-3. This also relates to the return of serve, as Naomi did decent on the 1st and 2nd sets with that, but faltered a bit in the 2nd. Speaking of return of serves, that has been one of Osaka's biggest improvements seen in the tournament, winning over 60% of second serve return points, and even as of late against Serena, she won 44% of receiving exchanges. Osaka's coach Wim Fizette talked about her return improvements and overall change in mindset. From the statistics, she wasn't hitting enough returns inside the court. She was just missing too many returns. That's the first step. I don't think we're there yet where we want to be, but she's a lot better. The first step of bringing back a lot of balls, that's what's happening right now. I was very happy with that yesterday in the Serena match. Always make the opponent play. Don't give the opponent those free points. It starts with the footwork on the return, so we worked technically a little bit. Then we did a lot of quantity stuff, a lot of repetition and playing points. At the same time, she's been working very hard with Utaka, and you can see how much more strength she has and how better her reach also is. I think it's a combination of a lot of factors. It's not one thing you can do and also have great results. It starts with her mindset. Having that mindset of, I played Vika in the final of a Grand Slam and she's a great returner. I want to return like her. This is exactly the right mindset. That's the way to go. I think it was last year in Cincinnati. During that tournament, she kind of changed her mindset, trying to win every single point. She's really good at serving out matches, but you can have troubles. It's better to have a double break than a single break when serving out a set or a match. Looking at the keys to the match, first starting with Brady, she needs to mix up the type of serve she gives to Naomi. Osaka is returning well, but she's not necessarily blasting people off the court. Like her coach Wim Fizette said, she's just making a lot of returns and hitting them fairly deep. It's not like Naomi's really punishing every second serve that she sees. She's just trying to make it and hit it with good depth. Now, I noticed in that quarterfinal match against Su Shea, Osaka struggled a bit with those slower slice serves. And Brady might need to incorporate some of that herself. I know that's not really her forte. She likes to go for her serves, but maybe mix in like a couple of slower second serves as a first serve, especially if she's missing first serves herself. I also believe that Jen should probably use more kick serves to the Osaka forehand, as watching that Serena match, Williams served primarily those kick serves or topspin serves, whatever you may call them, to Naomi's backhand, which she was used to. And I think really mixing up the location, throwing in a good chunk to the forehand, and then of course a good chunk to the Osaka backhand will go a long ways. Now second, I believe that Jennifer needs to remain aggressive and keep that good depth. I noticed against Muhova, Brady was too eager to go on the defensive, which was really surprising because Carolina really isn't that like of a aggressive baseline player. She likes to use more variety, and Jennifer is really the one that should be dictating play. And she cannot do this at all against Naomi, as she's one of the most offensive players at the moment. And depth is especially key because if you give Naomi even just a crumb, she'll take it and she'll just destroy any short ball in sight. I think that something Brady has to her advantage is that more topspin type forehand with more spin, as Osaka is more accustomed to and prefers that lower ball with like less spin and that's more flat. So I think that if Brady can use more string diagonals and get the ball more out of Osaka's strike zone, making it higher, it'll be difficult for the Japanese woman to handle. The third point I have for Jen is to look to come forward, mostly behind her own serve. The reason why I say mostly behind her own serve is because it's extremely difficult to come forward and take the ball at the net against Osaka because of her penetrating shots. And I noticed against New York, Jennifer did have more opportunities to come to net because of her strong serve, allowing her more chances at dictating. And I think that Jennifer has had relatively a lot of success this tournament when coming to net. She doesn't do it nearly as much as I believe that she should. And I think that also coming into net will be a good play against Osaka when she does it at the right time now, because it provides Naomi a different look rather than just having those baseline exchanges, which is already in Naomi's favor. So giving her those different type of looks coming forward, I think will do Jennifer well. Now the last point I have for Brady is to pounce early on and take every opportunity that she has. In the semifinal match, Naomi was very nervous against Serena. She was catching a whole bunch of her ball tosses, serving at the bottom of the net, and really Serena had opportunities to go up double break. And I think that if Serena had done that and took her chances and went up 3-love, we might have seen a different outcome of the match. But instead, Naomi was able to come through that game, survive, and then ultimately she relaxed and took it to Serena. And that was her last chance, Serena's last chance at winning the match, those first 3 games. So playing a slam final, there's bound to be nerves, even for Naomi, who's the big favorite and is more experienced at this stage. So I believe that if Brady can somehow suppress her own nerves to take advantage of a potential Osaka lapse, that would be extremely crucial for her in the long run. Now, on the other hand, looking at Osaka, I think that she should look for more backhand-to-backhand exchanges. Osaka's backhand has been on fire all tournament, and I was thoroughly impressed at how well she hit it, especially against Serena. That cross-court backhand has been extremely lethal all fortnight, and that ground stroke is definitely better than Brady's, although Brady's backhand has improved. Still, that side is more prone to breaking down, so Naomi should look to actively attack it and get Jennifer stretched out wide on that side. Second, I believe Naomi should keep using the forehand to dictate. That forehand shot has been a dangerous, very dangerous weapon in her arsenal these 2 weeks, and the forehand cross-court angle has been getting opponents stretching left and right, scrambling, and getting them out of position to where she can then do damage by going inside in, forehand down the line, whatever it may be. She has really been dictating with that forehand, and when she's not making the errors on that side, because once again, that side is like the less steady side and is more prone to breaking down under pressure. Whenever that forehand is good, Naomi is good. The third key is to not give out many second serve looks. This didn't entirely matter against Serena because, first of all, Naomi's first serve percentage against Williams was very poor, but still Williams couldn't take advantage because of her poor returning herself. I think that Jennifer will actually probably return better than Serena, and I also believe that the second serves will take away opportunities for Naomi to dictate, as when she has that strong first serve, it's really difficult to get back neutral, her opponents to get back neutral. So definitely making sure that she has a decent level of first serves in against Brady would be more crucial than against Serena, for example. This kind of plays into my last point, which is to maintain aggressive court positioning. Against Serena, Muguruza, and everyone that she's played thus far in this tournament, Naomi has had the most success when getting on top of the baseline and controlling the majority of the points, and simply tonight can be no different against Brady. For my final match prediction, I have Naomi coming through in straight sets, one tight set and one not so tight set. However, first giving Brady the benefit of the doubt, I believe the pressure will be entirely on Naomi in this match. I'm not trying to be mean, but nobody really is checking for Brady. She's the American, but hardly any American media outlets really know about her, whereas Naomi is a household name. This sounds very vain, but looking at their Instagram followers, Brady has just 34K, whereas Naomi is nearly at 2 million. So the Japanese woman clearly has that more global reach, and more eyes will be on her. However, giving credit to Jennifer, most of the people in the tennis world know her or should know her. It's really weird the mindset I have about Brady reaching the slam final. It's just weird to think about because it's almost nonchalant. I feel like everyone is taking it like no one is really paying attention to Brady, and maybe that could be because of her success at the US Open and people like starting to know inside the tennis world, of course, starting to understand her as a real threat. But it's like these first time slam finalists, it's so common on the WTA tour now. It's like, oh, whatever, she's in her first slam final, let's move on. It's so weird to me. I think this could actually be good for Brady because I know that she probably sees all these players, first time finalists who are making these slam finals, and she's like, why can't it be me? I mean, I can do it if all these other players who haven't yet won Grand Slams or who haven't necessarily had that mainstream success yet are reaching these finals. Why can't I? The Pliskavas, the Svitolinas are not making the finals. It's people like Brady and people like Kenin who are honestly the better players coming through to make these finals. Going back to the pressure for Naomi, this is going to be a new experience for her as she's the overwhelming favorite in a slam final for the first time. At the 2018 US Open final against Serena, she was the underdog as Williams was chasing 24. People weren't necessarily like all that looking out for Naomi. The GP wasn't, of course, but now the spotlight is on her. And then looking at her other two slam finals at the 2019 Australian Open, Kvitova was very accomplished and at the time had more slam victories than she did. And then last year at the US Open final, Azarenka, of course, was accomplished herself and was a multiple time Grand Slam champion as well. Also, on paper, this will be one of Osaka's least polarizing matches because she had to go through a complete crazy draw, beating Serena, Muguruza, and even in the earlier rounds, having to play Pavlyuchenkova, who has reached quarterfinals and slams consistently, and Garcia, who is a talented player herself, and then Jabeur. So then it's kind of anticlimactic in a sense to where she's had to beat all these tough players, and then there's Brady. Once again, no offense to Brady, but Brady is a great player, but in terms of stature, in terms of that pressure of having the experience, Jennifer does not have that. I think that also Naomi would be a step up in class for Jennifer Brady. Currently, I feel like she's also doing everything better than the American, and I think that Brady actually played better at the US Open last year than she has here. Watching her at the US Open, I felt like she truly could win the tournament. She had this feeling of invincibility. And here it's like I hate to say that she's playing worse, but she's just not playing with that same conviction. And it's just so weird. It's so weird to me that I had these feelings about her winning the title in New York, but here she's in the final, just one match away, and I don't see it for her. Going back to Naomi being the toughest player that she has yet to face, Jennifer's opponents that she's faced thus far in the tournament don't compare to Naomi's game in the slightest. Pegula was probably the closest, and she did get that first set off of her, but ultimately she ran out of gas due to having her own incredible run, beating Svitolina, beating Azarenka. I think that if Brady is going to beat Osaka, she probably has to play the best match of her life and has to go outside of how she's been playing this far in the tournament and truly excel, which is going to be extremely hard to do, especially in the final of a Grand Slam. Maybe it is good, though, that she hasn't played her best tennis, so she won't, flop. at least she won't have a high to come down from. She can only go up. And not to say that she's playing bad, she just hasn't been playing as good as I think she can be playing. So that's something that's to look forward to for Brady. Definitely, I feel like a lot of this match and its results lies in Naomi's hands. And I think that Jen will just have to take every little opportunity and chance she has. She has to play lights out. As far as nerves go for Brady, I think that they might not be a huge issue as some may think, because the way that she handled the US Open semifinal, she handled it pretty well. And she also is the big underdog. Overall, the pressure shouldn't entirely be on her. The only time that pressure might come is where she's maybe serving for a set or serving for the championship. While still on the topic of pressure, I think that Osaka will handle it relatively well. I think that them playing in New York will help Osaka because she understands the challenges that Brady poses, and she knows that if Brady is on and she is not, she can lose this match. So experience is also on her side. I want to mention that Naomi is currently on a 19/20 match win streak. I can't remember which one is which, but she also has never lost after a fourth round at a major. She hasn't even lost a 3-setter in a major in over 3 years. So I feel that if Brady is going to pull off the upset, it has to be in 2 sets. Now, once again, Jennifer could come out and play the match of her life while Naomi has a big letdown. I actually wouldn't be surprised if that did happen. However, I don't think it will, which is why I have Naomi coming through. Both Naomi and Jen spoke about one another after their semifinal wins, and here's what they had to say about this final face-off.
I don't really think it matters for me. I'm not sure if it's an advantage or a disadvantage because I feel like I might be going into that match as a favorite no matter who I play. So that would be a disadvantage for me because I might feel pressure. And, you know, you never know, my opponent might come out swinging, feeling like they have nothing to lose. And I might feel weighed down by the thought of not wanting to lose in a slam final. So there's a lot of things like that I have to take into consideration, but I don't really feel too stressed out about it right now. Maybe it'll hit me later.
I don't think there's anyone that I would compare it to that I've played, not that I can think of, but she just puts a lot of pressure on you to serve well because she's holding serve in like 45 seconds, and yeah, she's serving well. She's coming at you with a lot of power, so it also puts a lot of pressure on you to be aggressive and try to get the first strike. Otherwise, you're the one running, and I don't want to be running. So I think it's just, she just puts a lot of pressure on you to perform well. So I think, you know, I have to think about that, but also not put that pressure on myself to perform well.
That's all for this preview, and let me know whether you agree with my picks and predictions. Will Naomi indeed continue her slam winning success, or will Brady pull a cannon and shock everyone? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever we post new content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.